Namaste, masters. Welcome to the session. We are reading "Who Am I?" The teachings of Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. The first chapter itself is "Who Am I?" All living beings desire to be happy always, without any misery. In everyone, there is observed supreme love for oneself, and happiness alone is the cause of love. In order, therefore, to gain that happiness which is one's nature and which is experienced in the state of deep sleep, where there is no mind, one should know oneself. To achieve this, the path of knowledge, the inquiry in the form of who am I, is the principal means. So, Bhagavan is, they are saying like, the happiness is the nature of our own self. We don't need to find for happiness, but it is our own nature. Where do we experience? Whenever we are in deep sleep, where there is no I, then we experience that immense happiness. That's why we feel like sleep is a blessing, right? We feel like, oh, it's so relaxing, I sleep so well, and we feel so happy and gratified when we sleep well. And happiness is the cause of love, and happiness is we get our own self when we in deep sleep. So, to achieve this, the path of knowledge, the inquiry in the form of who am I, is the principal means. So, we get that happiness when we are sleeping. But when we want to really have that happiness while we are awake, we need to understand who are we, who am I. So, as we discussed earlier in earlier episode, that this book, the Who Am I book, is in the form of questions and answers. The first question is, who am I? The gross body, which is composed of 7 humors, dhatus, I am not the 5 cognitive sense organs, namely the senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste and smell, which apprehend their respective objects, namely sound, touch, color, taste and odor. I am not the 5 cognitive sense organs, namely the organs of speech, locomotion, grasping, excretion and procreation, which have their respective functions: speaking, moving, grasping, excreting and enjoying. So this is it is, the answer is nothing but like Nirvana Shatakam. Nirvana Shatakam, it says like, you are not this body, you are not this mouth, you are not the speech, you are not the skin, you are not the sweat, you are not the mind, you are not this everything. You are not, you are not, you are not. The same way in Bhagavan is saying, you are not Panchabhutalu or 5 senses. You are not whatever you think you are not. He literally giving the examples of 5 senses and respective abilities like sound, taste, smells, touch, sight and hearing. And also we are not respective objects like cognitive senses, their organs and their functions. We are not that. I am not the 5 vital airs, prana, etc. So we have 5 air or prana vayu in our body. So Bhagavan is saying we are not even that, which perform respectively to the 5 functions of in-breathing, etc. I am not even the mind which thinks I am not. Okay, so what are we? We are not this even pranavayu. Then Bhagavan is saying we are not even the mind. The mind itself says, this is me, this is I want, these are my likes and dislikes, these are my family. So whatever the mind is thinking, that is also not us. I am not the nescience too, which is endowed only with the residual impression of objects, in which there are no objects and no functionings. So, so we are not even the memories, we are not even the impressions of the objects or life experiences, whatever we have, the memories. So we are not even that also. So for the first question, who am I? Bhagavan says we are not. He's saying, who am I? So he's taking all the layers, whatever we think ourselves, he's taking off all the layers. Second question, if I am none of these, then who am I? After negating all of the above mentioned as not this, that awareness which alone remains that I am. So when we take off all the above mentioned things in from us, so not my eyes are not me, the vision itself is not me, mouth is not me, the talking speech is not me, the mind is not me. So if we take off all the things, whatever left, the awareness or knowing thing, like a state of known, that itself is called I am. That is what I am. Third question, what is the nature of awareness? So Bhagavan is saying about awareness. So the question is again, what is awareness? The nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, bliss. Yes. So awareness is consciousness, Chaitanyam, and the Chaitanyam, the awareness, Eruka, is itself always in bliss state, and it is eternal, it exists. So the nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Fourth question, when will the realization of the self be gained? So okay, the bliss and everything is good. So when can I realize myself? When the world, which is what is seen, have been removed, there will be realization of the self, which is the seer. So whatever we see, whatever I see from my side, if everything is removed, the left one is, whatever left is myself. Who is the observer is myself. So that's why, like I can connect, like when we meditate, when we close our eyes, so we close our eyes, so entire world is closed for us, so we don't even see ourselves also, we can only feel. But Bhagavan says we have to take off the feelings, touch and everything also. When we go inwards, everything from this world is gone. In the physical world, everything is, we remove that from our mind. So whatever left is inside, that is our awareness, that is our self. Will there not be realization of the self even while the world is there, taken as real? So someone is asking, if everything is there, the world is there, can we not realize ourselves? There will not be, is the answer. We cannot realize ourselves. Why? The seer and the object seen are like the rope and the snake. Just as the knowledge of rope, which is the substratum, will not arise unless the false knowledge of the illusory serpent goes. So the realization of the self, which is the substratum, will not be gained unless the belief that the world is real is removed. So Bhagavan is giving an example of rope and snake. How do we there will be an illusion if when we see the rope, there will be an illusion of a snake. But if we don't even know the snake, if we don't even have the knowledge of a snake, we never saw a snake, we don't even know that its existence, then how do we say that, how do we think that feels like a snake, right? So that's what Bhagavan saying, if we don't even know, you don't even have everything, the physical world, if you don't even have that, then how do we think it is real? So we need to remove that first. Remove that memories, remove that consciousness, whatever we think it is real in the physical world, we need to take that off. Then only we understand what is real actually inside. When will the world which is the object seen be removed? The question is like whatever we see in the world, when will it be removed? When the mind, which is the cause of all cognition and all actions, becomes quiescent, the world will disappear. So, it is our mind that is perceiving the world. So, when we take off the mind, everything will be gone. For example, I am living here and right next to me, there is a 1-month-old baby. So we just standing each other, very next to each other, but my perspective of the world around me is different than the baby's. Baby doesn't see anything, baby doesn't perceive anything. So there is no such world for that baby. Only me, because I have this knowledge of, oh, this is computer, this is a paper towel, whatever. So when we take off this mind, then everything will disappear. What is the nature of the mind? Then question comes to mind. What we need to understand, what is mind? What is called mind is a wondrous power residing in the self. It causes all thoughts to arise. Apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as mind. Therefore, thought is the nature of mind. Apart from thoughts, there is no independent entity called the world. In deep sleep, there are no thoughts. There is no world. In the states of waking and dream, there are thoughts. There is a world also. Just as the spider emits the thread out of itself and again withdraws it into itself, likewise, the mind projects the world out of itself and again resolves it into itself. When the mind comes out of the self, the world appears. Therefore, when the world appears to be real, the self does not appear. And when the self appears or shines, the world does not appear. When one persistently inquires into the nature of the mind will end leaving the self as the residue. What is referred to as the self is the Atma. The mind always exists only in dependence on something gross. It cannot stay alone. It is the mind that is called the subtle body or the soul, Jiva. So we are talking about the nature of mind. So mind is, Bhagavan is saying, mind is nothing but thoughts. Apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as mind. Mind is always thinking. So, and what are the thoughts? Thoughts are nothing but what we see in the world. Those come from the world itself is our manifested from our thoughts. So like a spider, how it creates its own web and it takes off and withdraws all its threads. The same way, the mind projects this world and also it takes this projection back into itself. Only the mind itself projects. We can take an example. For example, we see a person as a good nature, very kind, very truthful. All of a sudden, that is my projection. Okay, because of my experiences and whatever, I see that person as a very good, kind person. If something happens or someone poisoned my mind, and then my mind will project it in different way. So I see the mind into like this person, my perspective will be different. And as I project negative way, that's how the person's behavior will be. That's what I see. The person behavior will be different from what I perceived in the past. So it's all from our mind. Uh, so when the mind is active, the reality is here, then our self, the self, whatever we are talking, the self, I, doesn't exist or doesn't appear. If the self appears, the world disappears. This is vice versa. And whatever we are calling the self is Atma. And the mind exists, mind is always dependent on something. It needs to mind wavers, right? So something or other, it needs to think about something. So it cannot stay alone. So mind is called the subtle body or the soul or jiva. So mind is a subtle body. It's a body, mental body, one of the 7 bodies. And so it is dependent on Atma. What is the path of inquiry for understanding the nature of mind? Okay, we need to understand the nature of mind, so that's how we can control, we can keep it quiet. That is which rises as I in the body is the mind. If one inquires as to where is the body, that thought I rises first, one would discover that it rises in the heart. That is the place of the mind's origin. Even if one thinks constantly, I, one will be led to that place. Of all the thoughts that arise in the mind, the I thought is the first. It is only after the rise of this that the other thoughts arise. It is after the appearance of the first personal pronoun that the second and third personal pronouns appear. Without the first personal pronoun, there will not be the second and third. So this is a kind of different way of understanding our thoughts. So the mind itself is mind is thoughts, right? So it arises, the thoughts always they are around I, they work for I. All our thoughts are based on I. So my mind, my I is the one who is seeing or creating these thoughts. For example, I have this work. This person is unbelievable. Who is talking? The I is talking. The I is thinking that way. I is planning for its daily routine. So always this I, all of the thoughts that arise in the mind, the I thought is the first. So because I am the one who is thinking, right? So my thoughts come first, and the next other persons or other things, third and second and third pronouns will come. So always the first pronoun is I. How will the mind become quiescent? By the inquiry, who am I, the thought who am I will destroy all other thoughts, and like the stick used for stirring the burning pyre, it will itself in and end get destroyed. Then there will arise self-realization. So if there is a fire and we are stirring it with a stick, the stick itself gets burned and it will end, right? The same way, when we with our mind, when we think, when we inquire about who am I, we have to remove all the baggage, whatever Bhagavan said earlier. If we take off, remove everything from that, and we need to work on our thoughts and mind itself thinks and remove, then itself the I itself get burned, and only the self or atma or self realization will be left, that will arise. What is the means for constantly holding on to the thought, who am I? So how can we constantly be on a inquiry that who am I? When other thoughts arise, one should not pursue them, but should inquire, to whom do they arise? It does not matter how many thoughts arise. As each thought arises, one should inquire with diligence. To whom has this thought arisen? The answer that would emerge would be to me. Thereupon, if one inquires, who am I? The mind will go back to its source, and the thought that arose will become quiescent. With repeated practice in this manner, the mind will develop to skill to stay in its source. When the mind that is subtle goes out through the brain and the sense organs, the gross names and forms appear. When it stays in the heart, the names and forms disappear. Not letting the mind go out but retaining in the heart is what is called inwardness, antarmukha. Letting the mind go out of the heart is known as externalization, bahirmukha. Thus, when the mind stays in the heart, the I, which is the source of all thoughts, will go, and the self which ever exists will shine. Whatever one does, one should do without the egoity I. If one acts in that way, all will appear as of nature of Shiva, God. So, what is the means of constantly holding on to the thought, who am I? Like, how can we do constantly think about who am I on this inquiry? So, Bhagavan says, whenever a thought arises in our mind, we need to question, where is this thought coming from, or to whom this thought came from. Like if I say I'm hungry, or I feel like hungry, I need to inquire to whom this thought came from. Then my answer will be like, if I can end, this body, Lavanya's body is feeling hungry, right? So that there itself I separate from from Lavanya's body. My consciousness gets separated from her. Then I don't have any connection. I don't have any feelings, pain. Whatever I'm, okay, if she is feeling hungry, then she needs to go eat. She needs to prepare herself. She needs an opportunity to cook. She needs an opportunity to earn groceries. That is all her job. What is my job? To go to get connected to my source. What is my source? Paramatma. Ultimate bliss, happiness, eternal. So when we question to whom this thought is arising, then we will get separated and we will understand, who am I? Actually, who am I? And the mind will go back to the source, and the mind will the unnecessary thoughts will kept quiet. It will become calm. And repeated, we need to practice this repeatedly. Then only, we should not follow the thoughts, we should question them. Where are you from? And then the sensory organs, the names, everything, we need to take them off. Like, everything gets separated from us. And also these things, not letting the mind go out. We should not, the mind is we should work from the heart, not the mind. Mind goes out. Mind is always on outside objects, outside feelings, outside emotions. Then the mind is working. That is bahirmukha. When the mind goes inwards of feeling nothingness, then it is antarmukha. When we go inwards, we get connected to the nature of Shiva or God or the nature or the eternity or truth, whatever we name, the source, we get connected to that. When we go inwards, thoughts will go, and eternal self will shine. Okay. We will end this here, masters. Any comments or questions?
రాణి తెలుగు అందరికీ తెలుసు కదా, ఇంగ్లీష్లో చదివా.
ఇది ఈవినింగ్స్ ఇంగ్లీష్ సెషన్ అని చెప్పారమ్మా. ఇంగ్లీష్లో చేద్దాము, వేరే వాళ్ళు వస్తారు అనేసి.